Thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu is not leaving any stone unturned as he reforms every sector of the economy. From his first day in office, where he announced that the removal of fuel subsidy to signing of the student loan into law, he has also sacked our service chiefs and replaced with new ones, amongst others. President Tinubu is set to ensure adequate development in the country. While sympathizing with Nigerians on how some of these laws have caused hardships, he says they should be patient as this would yield a great output later on. Well, joining us in the studio is a Harvard-certified leadership strategist and consultant, Dr. John Ekundayo. Good morning, Dr. Ekundayo. Thank you for joining us. Now, it's been a mixed reaction with regards to the president's 1 month in office because as a result of the policies he has made, the appointments and all of that. But from your point of view, would you say that the president is on his path of the renewed hope agenda?
I would say that the president is on that track, even though there are mixed reactions, like you said. We must give it, to the president for the moves, bold moves, courageous moves. Because for me, as an analyst and writing from time to time, I've even been imagining, you see, what will happen, when the president just, takes oath of office, and 3 weeks, 1 month, is because of the gamut of economic mess that's on the ground, So even to navigate through these levy prints, go through it, with the subsidy right from the inauguration, at the Eagle Scare, saying subsidy is gone. I could read the president saying that even his close associates didn't believe him. Is it because it was not part of the speech? Yeah. Is it? But just at the thinking of a moment, thinking this is an auspicious moment to him, whereas to many of us we believe, oh no, it shouldn't have been done that way. Is it? But we could see that aftermath of all that, some people are heaven and earth before and whatever, but we could see that we are still cruising ahead. So I believe that these 30 days, one thing I would say is that the president has actually resected, governance. Let me just say that.
How do you mean?
Yeah, I will expatiate on that. Is it because, even in a way, demystify some things that we believe, this can't just be done, anyhow. Is it now Nigerians are waiting now for the ministerial list to come out? Is it because he has sought the approval of the National Assembly for 20 special advisors, if I'm correct, to be appointed, and he has appointed some of them, and we look at the National Assembly too, the Speaker, already elected, the Senate President, already in place since set in position like that. And some bills, even that were passed to the previous administration, that were just on the table, or on the shelf like that, that couldn't be signed into law. I've been signed into law, talking about the student loan bill become now an act, and even the Electricity Act as well, that gives power to the states and even individuals to generate electricity. So these are things that with just policy, the right policy in place, we can see things shaping up. And you can see from the international perspective, even investors, they are willing to come into Nigeria, they are willing to invest. And we can see changes in the market, with the stock and everything like that, changes. So we can see, I can see this present administration, just 30 days, not 3 months, not 3 months, not 90 days, putting some marks on the ground. It takes, for me as an engineer, I'm a structural engineer, when you want to build a big edifice, what you do is you do a setting out. When we begin to see the stakes you put, we begin to see the lines and the marking, and then you begin to dig the foundation. Depending on the foundation you are digging, we know the height of your building and the size of your building. So for me, I could see that, looking with the engineering mind, this government is out actually to...
But there are those who are saying that he's moving pretty fast with some of these policies and that care has to be taken.
for me, I wouldn't say it's pretty fast, but I believe the government is moving in the right direction, But you see, what we actually, let me just learn, what we actually make that to really, for me to really now say, oh, the government is moving in the right direction, really, is when we have the ministerial list coming out. You see, because these are the drivers of the economy. You see, so I'm just praying that this will not be politicized. I'm just praying that this one will not just be, job for the boys, but we will have cerebral, we have credible, we have competent, capable people in position of these MDs so that, the government also can move with the same momentum.
And talking about the MDAs, the president has also announced the suspension of boards of the MDAs. What do you think the president is trying to achieve in terms of the manner of his style of governance? And then the issue of fuel subsidy, which you talked about earlier, has largely been commended. But there are concerns that many more millions of Nigerians would slide into poverty if care isn't taken or action isn't taken urgently to address their plight.
Well, with the board, of MDAs been, suspended, I believe is the right step, because if you look at the previous administration, people that were there on that board, even in the Jonathan administration, some of them were there, if you could recollect, even for about 1 year into the Buhari administration. Some of them 6 months, 1 year, even more than 1 year, you see. And it ought not to be so, because it means they will still be driving the government with the pace of the former government there. So this is a good step. So Nigerians are looking for and say, okay, who and who will be in here, Nigerian Port Authority, this and that. So we are trusting the way the things are going on. It's likely there will be cerebral minds in those organizations. But the issue of fuel subsidy, let me just say this, that I want to side with the report of the World Bank about the issue of poverty. And that is why the present government needs to take some steps. For me, like Veronica was talking about fast, I expect the interventions to have arrived, some of the interventions to have arrived as yesterday. Because some of us elites are even feeling it. Talk less of people that, are in the rural areas. Now, and the area that is bothering my mind and boggling my mind is people that are not even earning salaries. It's people that are not working in any corporate organizations. Some organizations are already fixing up their workers, even in private organizations, apart from government. What about people? What about Nigerians who are not working for anybody? You see, I traveled to Akure over the weekend, and I had to purchase fuel of 33,000. I just had to go for, for a kind of this that I just must go. If not, I wouldn't go. So, that is just on fuel anyway. When you begin now to talk about
other expenses,
tomato in the market, the prices are up, and other things. So the government, is it because the special advisor on communication, strategy and special duties, Mr. Dele Alake, spoke about, no, this government is not about palliatives. We are coming with interventions. I wrote about that in my column, and I marked that word. Now, what are the interventions? We need to know in the immediate, you see, and also in the medium term, and then the long term, as a strategist. This has to be, the government needs to begin to speak to us. Now somebody said, look at your state governors now, because likely they are going to have more coming for the states, more this. But that is not really enough. You see, we want the federal government to speak on this, and if there are some other things they are delegating to the state government to do, fine. Let's begin to see this thing so that the effects of the oil subsidy removal will be mitigated on the part of the poor. You see, because the government is saying we want to reach the poor of the poor. Then they should tell us the metrics, the yardsticks, how are they going to reach the poor of the poor so that the effect of poverty will be cushioned.
In fact, some person says every Nigerian needs help at this point.
Yes, I agree with you. I just agree with you.
But then the government has said that sacrifices have to be made. on the path of Nigerians. But there are those who have said that sacrifice has to begin with the government itself, cutting down the cost of governance, ensuring that they cut down on lavish spendings and all of it. We see some of the pictures on social media that some persons have pointed to, and that is quite concerning for some Nigerians, how government can begin by showing that they first would make this sacrifice and then Nigerians can follow. But before you answer this question, we need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. So we've been discussing the President's 30 days in office, assessing some of the policy changes he has made and its impact on Nigeria, Nigerians, every aspect of the country. And we still have our guest, Dr. John Ekundayo, a Harvard-certified leadership strategist and consultant in the studio, speaking with us. Before we went on the break, I was talking about Nigerians saying that sacrifice has to begin from government itself. In fact, recently it was on some of the pages of the newspapers, the bumper package that ex-service chiefs were going to receive, and Nigerians were reacting to it, that in this current economic realities, we are still seeing them receiving such bumper packages. What would sacrifice on the part of government be from your point of view?
From my point of view, well, let me just say this. Let me start by saying I've been in government before. I've served in the state government before. And, you know, one thing that I want Nigerians to know is that there are some things that statutorily they are put there, you know, in the Appropriation Act, you know, in the budget, so to say. And it does not mean that that exact amount is spent. So when Nigeria calls for sacrifice now, I think what we should be doing is, you know, give us a record of actual spending of government. Now, I think that's what we should be calling for. Is it because some of the things you say, budget, whether federal budget, whether state budget, you know, they can tell you easily that that's not what we have spent. It's just in the paper. You see, but at times, Veronica, at times, government do even spend more. Government spend more, state, federal. So the thing we should be calling for is that I sided with people calling for, I side with people calling for, you know, sacrifice, reduction in spending, yes. You see. But the thing is, actually, most times, we have been looking more at capital expenditure of government. Oh, what is on road? What is on this? Now, Nigerians are now saying, oh, for newspaper, for this is that. Now, we should also be asking, in a quarter, what have you spent on this thing? You know, under the freedom of information something. The government can make it available to the citizen. And then we see whether actually they have overspent, whether they are even spending under.
What do we do with that information?
We need that information because, you see, government can easily tell you that these figures have been put there. Like, for instance, the present government at the center, federal government, they have not made any budget. They have made old budget. So if you are saying for newspaper, for feeding, you know, I saw this morning before coming to the studio, somebody saying Vice President feeding, President feeding, it's so million. Maybe President is 300 million, Vice President is 176 million. Somebody on the social media, oh, you have to cut down on this. Now, you see, the thing is, this present government met that budget. So Nigeria can say, okay, for your next budget, you know, this, because it's already an act. But you can spend on that, you can spend, you know, there's a way you can spend that amount. You see, but for the next budget, these are the things you need to do. Now, I see also people calling for National Assembly something. Yeah. That's another, you know, matter entirely. You see, because you need to call for electoral, electioneering reforms, not just electoral. And I will tell you, Veronica, you know, because I'm close to some of these politicians, some people sold their houses. This is our system. Let's talk about it.
So they want to recoup.
Of course. So that is it now. So if Nigerians are saying all these things, then we need to come back. Tell your House of Assembly, House of Rep member, House of Assembly, House of Rep, senators, you know, meet them at their consensus office so that channel your this thing, you know, so that in the next government, it's not now. You see, because now the train has left the station. That is the truth. You see, we need to look at our system. A lot of things. This present government, if they really need to dig down, we need the electioneering reforms, not electoral, electioneering reforms. So that, because money bags have hijacked our politics, and people that are competent, people that are cerebral, are capable, they have been put aside because they don't have money to spend. People will even ask you, what do you have? Do you have the war chest?
So it's not just about the politicians, it's also about...
It's about the followers.
Electorate.
Yes, it's about the followers. It's about we elites. It's about we elites. It's about
who are placing demands.
Yes, we are placing demands. You know, when senators come home now, they tell them, oh, the school fees of my children, oh, I'm building social house there, you have to help me, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that. Some of us, in traveling to the villages, you know, some of us, we hide. You see, even I'm not a politician, at times you need to hide in your house because many people will be coming to you. Imagine somebody telling you, oh, I built my house to this day, come and help me to finish it, you know, like that. So there are a lot of pressures coming, you see. So, but in going forward, we can address some things. In the budget, we can address some things about reforms. You know, Nigerians can call for reforms about electioneering. That is very key. For me, I don't support parties. Imagine parties saying for candidates, 50 million. 100 million, 30 million.
For forms.
For forms only. For expression of interest and form, you are spending about 120 million. You know, for crying out loud. So these people will be in office. So you now want them to be looking at bridges or looking at the air. You know, let's be realistic about all these things. So we need to call for electioneering reforms in the future. For now, the train has left the station. That's what I would say. But as per sacrifice, yes, you know, as per sacrifice, the government needs to tone down some things. They need to tone down some things, especially our recurrent expenditure. You know, what are the recurrent expenditure? Recurrent expenditure is used to run governments, you see. And when you look at the government at the center, federal government, the current expenditure is about 70%. So when we are saying our roads, we are saying our rail, our this, and we are borrowing money. You see, we need, this present government need to look at that. And I trust President Bola Tinubu will do something. Because in Lagos, he set the template for us. I retired from Lagos State government, and you see that you can't see our recurrent expenditure any year passing our capital expenditure. No, not in Lagos State. From the time of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the time of Fashola, to the time of Ambode, to the time of the incumbent Sanwo-Olu, and the federal government should do the same thing. Why should we be spending about 70% recurrent? You know, where are we going? And then we say we want to become best 20 economies in 5 years. It can't work.
Let's quickly look at the issue of security, because the president has said that his outlook for security is tied to economic recovery. And even though it's a norm for every president when he comes on board to, you know, change the service chiefs, and the president has done as such. But then moving forward, obviously it cannot just be all about different names, different leaders, you know, manning this service division. So what do you expect to see moving forward?
Well, I believe the president has done the right thing. It's good to have his team right at the outset of his administration. And I believe he must have been informed. You know, he must have studied, look at, you know, personally, look at profile, you see. And, you know, for me, I can see that he has the best hands now, you see. But the thing is, to be given to all this, it doesn't mean that those people that left before were not good, you know, like somebody was arguing. But the thing is, what we are failed to do in our government, whether state or federal, is that we put people in position. We are not giving them targets. You know, we are not giving, we are not celebrating milestone. You see, we need to tell them in 3 months, you know, okay, what is happening in Southern Kaduna now? I don't want to hear it within 1 month. I mean, this one will not be in the press. It will be between you and the person who put you in position. And you know what you just have to do. You see, so with that, where there are goals, where there are targets, and then there are milestones that will be celebrated. Oh, within 1 month, we are able to do this, we are able to do this. We have pushed the dissident, the bandits out, the terrorists out, and we haven't had any report. You see, we set, you know, key performance indicators for them, having given them goals. And then every like 3 months, the president will be meeting with them and see, where are we here? Where are we there? So you yourself will know that you're already having a fallout. So at any moment in time,
you can go.
You can go. You know, it won't be a matter we are waiting for to change the whole service chief. No, we don't need to wait for the whole of that. You know, anyone that is not meeting up to that KPIs, to the goals that have been set, should be shown the way out. So
all right.
That's the way I look at it.
All right, we'll have to leave the conversation here. Harvard-certified leadership strategist and consultant, Dr. John Ekundayo. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.